Say hello to everybody. Ah! Nobody's watching. I hope one day someone clicks on it and all they see is a baby. And now he's eating my finger. Look at yourself. Look at yourself. Ah! Ah! Oh, squirmy baby. Are you? Did you watch it? It did come up and say one person's watching. I was like, oh. I was like, wow. Can I love it? Huh? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? So are they just doing this? Let me just also what is the point of not telling anyone? But she'd like to hear one person and then you go,
I didn't know he was still in Arizona. So it was like 5 a.m.
And then he said, that's what you're thinking.
He didn't answer it, and then he yeah. So that it was 5 a.m.
I don't know. I didn't see anything. Well, see, that was
That's something that's funny. We're not there.
yeah.
Farming.
I bit my lip. So my entire face. I'm like, I bit it twice. And it is absolutely awful. It's like this giant.
And you're
How have you been
actually a good mom and being
able to eat I don't know, it's weird. But I mean, I've been eating, I have been eating certain foods with Daddy. Hey, Dad, will you take this to the car? She really wants you. But yeah, I don't know.
It's supposed to be hot dog.
But it's weird because there for that first 2 weeks, like everything I ate was different. Oh yeah. What? But now that doesn't sound great. But I do think it's not water. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna have something out of this. She asked me to eat it first. It's one of the scout ones. Oh, wow. You like those? Yeah.
You brought a bar too.
You too. The first ones are good. I'll get
This is this kind of trip.
You like this one? I know Rosie's got her own down too. They all coordinate.
E.
Oh, here we go.
Good morning.
All the.
How are you? I need to watch this movie.
It was such a good. Yeah, this is the greatest showman.
I'll get you
He said, "Dad, it's Father's Day."
Still crying.
Hey, well, sit in the chair, Walter.
I do. But
Yeah, I was going to say, you should have supposed for a loop. Next
start over there.
You just start over there. We all move down.
Like, oh God. Everybody comes this way.
She loves to specifically stir it. She has her own word.
Do you love him? It's kind of mean. Not very much.
Any other guy.
Is it good?
Is it cheating if I hit the emojis on our own live stream?
Just try back in.
It's what he likes.
It's like, wow, 2,000 hearts. Like Mosaic's popping. Hit the 100. There we go. Come on. There's nobody watching. So. 2 views and 100 likes. That's right. Just back and forth. 2,000 comments. Just you, me, and me back and forth.
We should pay to get a bunch of bots to
right.
watch our streams.
Follow us on our Instagram. Do all the sponsored posts.
It's really how you build a community.
That's right. Yeah.
Boss.
I mean, it's not outside the scope of what some churches have done. So
Sure.
there are some churches that have been caught like having hired people to come forward during altar calls
That's horrific.
to give. Well, it's for the purpose of giving people. I'm trying to think about how they would pitch it. It's like if someone goes first, it kind of gives you the that's how you can do it too. So they
You see someone else's hand up.
touch.
You want to raise yours.
So
Even though
really,
your
when
eyes are
you-
supposed to be
when
closed and
you
head down.
say- If this person goes up, I'll know God's telling me to go up its
I know it's real.
stage.
That's right. Well, it's like if you have 1,000 people in a room, you pay, I don't know, 50 people to raise their hand and accept Christ. I'm sure there's another
You got a
50.
Bible going.
Yeah, it's like you can get something going, you know.
We had an altar call with the TV. That was it.
What?
Like the cross up on TV.
Everybody come to the altar, the TV. Oh, come to the TV. His father's arms are open wide.
No, you can have that.
All right, everybody, let's start. This is how we're gonna start. Ask Cade to read the lyrics of something. It's a song, so he's gonna sing it for us.
G minor.
Okay. He's gonna read it for us and just let it kind of set the tone, and then I'm gonna play a song for us as well. So use it however you want, and enter into the space however you need to. Cade's gonna read it, and then I'll play a song for us. So.
All right, it's called Garden City by is it Thomas Austin?
Yeah, Thomas Austin.
Read it away, make sure.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, it says, I woke up feeling like a failure, like there's nothing worth redeeming my bones. Yesterday was everything I left to do, and still I woke up feeling like a failure. And my window looks over a garden, but these days all the weeds are overgrown. Yesterday I saw them laying flowers in the dirt. They'll be dead before the winter comes along. And I try to take my time, but it's not easy when you're living a life. That the measure of a child is just how much he has to give his father, and I don't want to waste my life. But for every single second that goes by, it seems like everyone but me is doing better, making more, and going further. And last night I woke up from a nightmare. I was living in a city full of thieves, and we stole the things we wanted. So we thought we had enough, but then we always wanted one last thing. See, no one ever tried to plant a garden in the middle of a city full of weeds. This is because it would never see the light.
Just go with the
Probably
pump.
live before it died, and you'd be bearing the fruit before the seed. And I try to take my time, but it's not easy when you're living a life. That the measure of a child is just how far he's living now from where he started. And I don't want to waste my life, but for every single second that goes by, it seems like everyone but me is doing better, making more, and going farther. And I think I'll try and plant a garden, but I don't have the measure or the means to ever know the end from where I started, to tell apart the flower from the seed. Someday I'll move into a city where the streets aren't made of gold, they're growing green, and the kind will know my name and will remember all the days I felt that garden city grow inside.
It would have been better if you sang it.
I thought about it, but
I did ask him to stand up with his sunglasses on so we could see his Ferrari
I
shirt,
forgot,
and
I'm sorry.
so I'm a little disappointed. So. You had a whole vibe, and I was like, man, you just need to get up here.
So that's when we could utilize the smoke machine.
That's right.
So
We have some paid actors in here, actually, that's going to participate in worship. I'm going to give you $100 to worship today. Just raise your hands and worship.
Only at the bridge. The right.
That's right. That's right. Whenever we just scream, oh, it's like the 5 minutes of us just saying, oh. The most worshipful moment is not when we're saying words. It's just when we're screaming. Now, that was the powerful moment with everything from Hillsong.
Yeah, it's on slaps.
Yeah. You just wait till it gets big. So anyways, I'm going to stop. I want to play a song for you guys. Again, do what you need to do. Listen in, grab a line or a lyric that means something to you, or just take it to give you some space to pray. So I'll play this, and then we'll name the good.
how. 'Cause if eternal life's worth living, shouldn't it start now? If eternal life's worth living, shouldn't it start now? So I'm living like a dead man, I'm haunted by a ghost. I'm torn between the temple walls and reaching for a rope. I'm buried like a body in this godforsaken ground. So if eternal life's worth living, shouldn't it start now? If eternal life's worth living, shouldn't it start now? So let silence sound like thunder, let mercy come flood, let justice flow like water, let the rivers turn blood, let the ancient be the young, let the humble be the proud. If eternal life's worth living, shouldn't it start now? If eternal life's worth living, shouldn't it start now?
Yeah. We named the good now. So what have you seen or tasted or experienced besides Rosie nailing her head on the And what a hit too. I mean, it was a thump. She's like, I'm cool, guys. Did something happen? All right. We named the good together. So what have you seen and tasted and experienced this week? We can share together. Got it, dude. Nina's.
This week my mom came up for a couple of days and did like literally all the things on my to-do list, which was really nice. She did stuff our freezer. She hemmed our curtains. She
Nice.
cleaned our house, did laundry, washed car seat covers. I mean, just like checked off all the things that were still lingering on our list. So I just felt like, I don't know, I feel like acts of service is such a big deal to me. Like when people do those things for me, I just feel really loved. And so I felt very loved by her and supported this week. So
That's awesome.
Is she still in town and available?
I know some other people that need that.
Yeah.
She left, I was like, what do we do now?
What do we do now?
Yeah, we do laundry.
Yesterday was my birthday. Blake ran a little surprise, which was really fun. We went to Aspen, to a place called Aspen Commons. I've never been there, but we had lunch and he had some friends be there. It was just a lot of fun.
It was fun.
So I feel it was a lot of fun. It was a surprise. I hate surprises, so I was trying to figure it out like the whole time. And I was like, please just enjoy the car ride.
It's like a 45-minute trip.
45 minutes. Yeah, and Rita kept the boys, which was really nice to have like a little bit of time. So it was a good day. We went swimming.
I avoided a scam call this week.
Nice.
Like, honestly, be success because the whole listening to your gut thing I'm not good at, and I also feel like I get scammed a lot, just in general in life. People are like, this is true, and I'm like, yes, it is. But yeah, but just trying to get better at that. So it's like the literal Washington County Sheriff's Department number popped up and everything, and I was like, well, I have kids, they're probably in jail. So like answer it, and they're like, you missed jury duty, you're going to jail. And I was just like at work in Chicago, just like crying. And and it was just this whole thing, and they were like, anyway, I was on the phone with them for an hour. I'd like literally have my team in there, and I was like, I gotta go. And then they were like, what? It was just crazy. Anyway, on our way out, it was like, I was just like, okay, what? And then, so I had my coworker call, right, the sheriff's department, and then the courthouse, and they're like, you're not here. Like, was like, honey, just hang up on him. And I was like, all right. And it was like such a relief. At first I was mad at myself of like half believing, but then I was like, oh, I won.
Sure.
Because I didn't escape. And
No,
so,
I was listening to a podcast about that.
yeah.
So clever.
They're so, and everything they were saying, he said he was like Mike Lowry or whatever, the chief deputy.
Yes,
name was.
yes, that's what
And I
I
was just like, why would the chief deputy be on the phone for an hour with me about jury duty?
Yes, it was the same thing. It was wow.
Yeah.
Like
It was
the
crazy.
call back, and then it was
Yeah.
the right coming from the right number.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
on you, because they really clever.
We have an entire like training regimen at house because it's like they target us because it works. Like they'll call pals, and the number will say like Tom Crosby, which is the CEO, and they'll be like, hey, there's something wrong with your deposits, your operator's in trouble, we need you to take money out of the store and do this.
Yeah.
They've gotten people before, so yeah,
It's
it's
so legit.
crazy.
So.
That's cool. What's it? Michael Scott says something about the Nigerian prince needed him or needed help or something.
The Nigerian emails you directly. No.
You help.
I can eat again, which is great.
Yes.
Only dry cereal.
And I don't have to work all that now because Rosie is going to be a big
Oh!
So I literally found out 2 days ago, but I was like, I can't wait. I won't be here next week. And
Also, Emily and Corey don't know. So
because they've been camping.
That's right.
But I was like, I can't wait because I won't be here. So I had to go to the doctor Friday morning. She found out Thursday night. I had to go Friday morning and have blood work done to make sure all of my numbers were good and rising and work. So I have to go back tomorrow to make sure they're definitely the way they're supposed to. And file accounts. Like I'm having symptoms. Like all the things seem good, but I just go back in the morning. I'm like, I thought, like, you're just gonna stay here for this.
Oh, that's so sweet.
With mommy and daddy. We're going with you.
Yeah, that's good.
She's like, just making sure.
And mama. We're gonna go with you.
Oh, yay. That's so exciting.
It's crazy with all the I know. So better than say month over.
Yes.
Like literally that happened. It's just that's all I can tell you all of them.
This is 4-leaf clover, Johnson. Clove.
Do you want to go outside and play with Ben and Rosie?
Yeah.
Ben's in the bathroom. Oh, okay. Well, wherever.
Who's gonna top that?
Yeah, I know. What else?
Yeah, really.
We went under a contract to buy a house this week.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Man, all the big moves.
Now we have to go back to
Is it the one you guys
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
this is big time moves happening this week.
It was really
They did it.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna have a party at your house, your new house. Thursday night. in Kingsport, right?
Mhm.
That's cool.
They are under contract on a house. There's like all sorts of things.
You guys just have to have your baby today.
This is thing going down in Mosaic. It could be history.
It could be.
It could be the cherry on top.
You have to name your baby Mosaic.
Right.
Son, you were born on the conference table at Coalition. That's why your name is Mosaic. That's awesome. Yep. What else? Anything? We also won water.
Wait, so do you have like a closing date and stuff?
July 15th.
You guys are really close tonight.
Yes.
I know you were so excited to
I'm
leave
so
the
excited to
apartment.
leave our
Yeah.
students.
And we were kind of stressed because we have to pay a bunch to get out of our current lease, and the sellers are paying it. So
Wow.
Yeah.
we negotiated that.
Where's that? I missed that.
It's a Kingsport.
You have to pay to get out of your contract. The
To
apartment.
get out of our current lease, and so we negotiated the sellers to pay that for us.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Stressful week, but
Yeah.
That's gonna be so.
Where
fun.
at?
I'm not
It's
good
on
at
Central Street, it's kind of like close to the 400 Mall.
Yeah.
John Dennis.
Oh,
Mhm. Where's that? Actually, I have a house.
yes. When I see this up, I feel like we showed pictures. Is this one you showed pictures of?
I'll show you again. It's actually great.
Yeah, blue in the pictures they got there, which is great.
It's just great.
It's fine.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Sweet. Anything else? Happy Father's Day, by the way. Forgot to say everything. Happy Father's Day, everybody. To all the fathers in the room. Yep. All right. All right. That's it. We have what do you give away on Father's Day? Presents for dudes. Jeep.
Pocket knife.
Yeah, pocket knife.
That's a great one.
Has some proverb on it, engraved in it.
They're just like maybe just have
That's right. I'm sure we'd be the only church.
Last Father's Day, you guys were on the beach.
We were.
I did. That's what I was when I was like, last Father's Day, we were on the beach. This Father's Day, we were in Johnson.
Sad time.
Sad.
Pretty sure we started that day out at 9 a.m. with PBR. I'm pretty sure that's my first PBR. From sunrise to sundown. We put away PBR. Have a PBR hat on.
Let's just say we don't remember anything past Just a joke.
Responsible drinkers.
It's only like 5
Early
hours,
bedtime,
so
at
we
least
really,
we
really.
started that.
Anything else? All right, you guys ready? Let's do this. I'm gonna stay down here, I guess, away from you guys. I'll just yell. This is what we're doing. We just finished Jonah, and the next month or so, we're doing 2 different things. At the end of June, we're having a breakfast. I don't know where we'll do it, but we're gonna do that. We did that last summer, and that was really cool. So we'll do that at the end of June, and we'll do another one at the end of July. But in between all those, we're doing some other things. I'm basically going to ask a series of other folks to share on a Sunday. So if you have 30 minutes to compose something, what would you say? You don't have to say something, but I think that everybody has, this is the turn, is you have something to say. So what would it be if you had 30 minutes? So I'm going to ask a series of people to share something. So that's what we'll be doing for the next couple of weeks. To get us there, I've been working on an extended riff on something. And so that's basically what I'm going to give you today is call it what you want. I think it's just an extended riff. Will we land somewhere? I have no idea. But I'm just going to take off and see if we land. I hope we land. But here's my question, basically, that I'm always kind of dancing with. Like, what good is it? And that sounds a little pessimistic to ask this question, but I don't mean it that way. What good is religion? What good is the sake of the Bible and the use of the Bible in our lives? Because a lot of us have stories of it being used poorly or just bad examples of religion in our world. I've talked about this a series of times, but I just keep turning it over and there's more there. And if I have a turn, if I had an answer to what would I share, if I had some time to share something, somehow, some way I get these kinds of ideas. And so that's basically what I'm doing today. So I'm going to start with a game. You guys want to do a game with me? Let's do a game. I'm going to read you a quote, and I want you to tell me if you think it's from a social media post that I saw or from an ancient text. You guys ready? All right. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you're not entitled to the fruits of your actions. Social media or ancient text. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you're not entitled to the fruits of your actions. That it? No. That's from the Bhagavad Gita in Hinduism, so good guess. Number 2. If we're not supposed to have midnight snacks, why is there a light in the fridge?
Okay,
Be careful what you say. Guess? I'm just kidding. The earth is but one country, and mankind its citizens.
I feel like this is a trick question.
No. That's from the Baha'i faith. Anyways, next. Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule. Good job. Yep, nailed it. That's a line in Buddhism, everybody. All right, next. If dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago, then why is the Earth only 2,021 years old? It's a couple years ago.
Blake
Stated.
2012.
That's a fun one. Hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers all wrongs. From where? From the Bible. It's our own. That's our Proverbs, everybody. Come on. Every second, someone dies. Every second, someone dies. Every second, someone is born. So why isn't our population 0? That is straight from Twitter, actually. When you are content to simply be yourself and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. That's ancient. That's chapter 8 of the Tao Te Ching. How did Beyonce go number 1 in 100 countries when there are only 7? I'm not making this up. It depends on what you define as an ancient text. Maybe Twitter is an ancient text. Twitter is an ancient text. It's X now. So those who do not speak, those who do not, this one's really getting me. Those who know, you understand why. Those who know do not speak. God. Those who speak do not know. There's no way in hell that one's social media. That one's too wise to be social media. That's also from the Tao Te Ching. This is my personal favorite of the list. Why do women never have to take a DNA test to determine if it's their child?
The way you started out, why do you
Why do women get to vote? No, I'm just kidding. All right. All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to intentionally pose a false dichotomy. Okay, it's not true or accurate, but there is a dichotomy between some things that we would call an ancient wisdom and some more modern takes on culture. It's humorous and stupid, and silly. But all I'm trying to say is that I think there's an element that modern poppy takes on the world don't actually satisfy the human heart. I think we need some reflection, we need some wisdom, we need some calm and thoughtful posturing in the world. And so my question back to the beginning is there a reason that religion has stuck around for so long, besides, let's just take everything off the table of it being divine? Is there a reason, like anthropologically, this stuff has lasted for so long? And maybe Twitter and social media is telling us something. It's really easy to post something on social media and have thoughts. That's quick and poppy and quippy. But then there's also realities that have lasted for thousands of years. You can read some of these ancient texts and they still speak to you just as much as they probably spoke to someone 5,000 years ago. And there's something there. So just nerd out with me for a little bit. 500 years ago, the existence of God, the necessity of God was almost assumed. Everybody just kind of believed in God. The existence of God was taken for granted. There were angels, demons, visions, miracles. It's just kind of how the world worked. Spells, magic, potions, superstitions, all that stuff was normal 500 years ago. But since then, there's some before, but since then we've had 2 stories arm wrestling. We've talked about this, but I'm just going to go over it one more time. There's 2 stories arm wrestling. One story goes, it's our God. Our God's the best God. Our God is the one who controls everything. Our book is better than your book. Our book is the most true, literal, and most historical. There's angels, there's demons. You need to have the correct beliefs. You need to get on our side of the table, all that stuff. There's a mystical afterlife after this, and as long as you're with us, then you'll go there. That's a story that we've had. There's another story that's kind of come on the scene, and it's basically saying that we're just a collection of atoms. We're just a collection of synapses bumping into each other. There is no meaning. Nothing matters. To quote the Greek philosopher, which is actually way back when, which is pretty cool. He said, man is the measure of all things. What he's saying is that everything is just purely relative to where you are and who you are. We're an accident at best. No connections, no purpose, no value, no dignity. There's no meaning in humans or even swirling around them. Nothing is true unless a scientist shows up and says it so. We're just simply a collection of Lego blocks stacked on top of each other in different arrangements. And then you, by extension, are just a collection of the chemicals in your brain. There's a whole line of philosophy in this. It's an argument against free will. It has nothing to do with God, but it's the argument that you are just a collection of chemicals in your brain. Every action has a reason behind it. So the reason you made this decision is because this chemical went off in your brain at this time, and you didn't have enough food in your body to do this, and it keeps going back. And it's an argument against free will, philosophically, that you don't have free will, that you're just a puppet in your brain and you're a machine. Stuff's firing in your brain. I don't have enough intellectual prowess to get to talk about that. But just to entertain the idea. Think about before Newton. Objects moved in patterns because they're obeying the will of God. There's a line in the Divine Comedy from Dante. He says, the love that moves the sun and the other stars. He's talking about love. Love moves the stars. But now we know it's gravity. Like we know gravity is the thing. And now the cosmos and you and me, we're just machines. We're just less dynamic, static, running according to code. Now, if we're honest, I don't think that story rings true. Honestly, I actually think at the heart of our culture, we do lean more towards something that's a little bit more thoughtful. I think we actually lean towards something that needs to be a little bit more reflective. There's one scholar I've been researching. He talks about there's a bit of magic that still exists in our culture, even if we don't immediately recognize it or apprehend it. He talks about how our culture, even the most progressive liberal culture we have, is still built on a fundamental belief of the sacred worth of every human being. Which, if we're just a bunch of collections of code and synapses, it's hard to get there. If there is no meaning, if there is no connection, if there's no value, then it's hard to get there. The moral foundation of the modern secular world, they would argue, and I think I would argue too, is it would collapse without some kind of fundamental belief in the sacredness of a human. Whenever you read a poem or you go on a nature walk, you're part of a community, it speaks to you, reverberates in your bones. Science theoretically would adamantly disagree. It's because you're just a collection of synapses and chemicals. Are you nothing but a machine built on survival and reproduction? Or is there something more going on just below the surface? Like, can we just be reduced to the raw materials that make you who you are? And my hunch is that no. I think fundamentally humans are crying out for belonging, for identity, for something I would say is transcendence. We never stop asking these kinds of questions, and I think it's that thing inside of us. The thing just keeps on ticking towards meaning and towards value. So, anyways, there's that. All I'm trying to say is I think we've not stopped being religious. Even though we forsake certain language and dogma, I think we just substitute it for something else. People are still religious and superstitious. I might have told you guys this story before. There's this philosopher named Peter Rollins. He does these shows. They're pretty cool. But he has like these Wiccan chants he'll put on the screen for everybody. And they're basically from, I think it's from the 16th century anyways. But what it was used for was to pronounce a curse over someone. And so he'll read it and everybody will joke about it. And he's talking about this kind of idea that I'm talking about today. And he'll say, now I need a volunteer, get a volunteer on stage. And he'll say, like, are you married? And ask their name. And he's like, okay, so I need you to pronounce this Wiccan chant over them. It's like wishing for their curse. And they won't do it. It's like, okay, if we're trying to push against the superstitious story, it's like, oh, this is fake. I'm just a collection of atoms. And this has nothing to do with them. You can say whatever you want over somebody and it's not going to have any effect on them. But people won't do it. It's like, I probably wouldn't do it because it's scary. But I think fundamentally we still buy into some of this stuff. It's like there's some legitimacy to these things. I saw this reel on my Instagram this past week, and there's this lady. You guys might have seen the template, but people will be like, I've done this for all my life. I gave my life. This person was saying, I gave 6 years of my life to Bible school, seminary. I got my master's degree. I served in these churches. And it's like, I did all that work, and where did it get me? That whole thing. And she's like, well, now she described herself as a pagan yoga teacher. And that was her point, was like, I was there, but now I'm here. I was like super religious, and now I'm not. And I had set a moment, and I was like, you're just doing the same thing, just on a different side. You've just substituted language. And we're all doing the same thing. We're all deeply religious, is all I'm trying to say. Another way to look at this is the emergence of artificial intelligence, which I think is just fun to ponder. You guys know how the interweb is full of AI generated images, which is just crazy. I just was teasing some of this out, and these are the examples of ones I found. You can find Elon Musk sun tanning on Mars. That one looked fun. There's a list of famous people participating in a concrete eating contest. They had a bunch of blocks of concrete eating, and it was real, very real. You could ask AI to generate a zebra with giraffe legs, a bottle of ranch testifying in court. That one was fun. Darth Vader ice fishing, Ronald McDonald performing open heart surgery, Santa Claus taking a picture of a tornado. And it's like all legit stuff. You can just have AI generate this stuff. There's also this statement going around that's attached to AI, which is beautiful, and I've just kind of collected it. This person said, I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so that I can do the art and the writing. Not for AI to do my art and writing so I can keep doing my laundry and dishes. Y'all seen that around? That was very profound. Like, that's the win, probably. Is once we can get there, because everything now is like you can ask ChatGPT to write anything for you. That's pretty good. Or generate an image of whatever you want. But like what are we taking away from being human? Like, is being human doing the laundry and the dishes, or is being human making something beautiful? Like, that's the philosophical question undergirding all this. It's like, what does it mean to be human? Are we just the machine? And are we buying straight back into that kind of reality? All this to say, this is why we talk about the Bible still. This is why I talk about the Bible still. I think religion and the Bible actually still has something to say in our world. When you dance with the Bible as a piece of literature, you see the ancientness of this text and how it still speaks to us. And that was my whole goal with talking about Jonah for 4 weeks, was like, this ancient text can still speak to us in our day and age now. It's still asking some of the fundamental questions that I'm asking all the time. Without taking time to have a profound take on some of these ancient texts, I think it still speaks to us in a serious sense. Dedicating myself to processing this stuff, I think it actually can and does have the power to change me. That's my fundamental belief. At the same time, you can see the inverse, is poor readings and takes on religion have dire consequences. It's like if we're going to keep giving ourselves to this, if we're going to keep asking these kinds of questions, if humans are going to continue to be religious in these ways, we should give ourselves to healthier, better versions of it. We've all encountered unhealthy versions. I told Taylor this the other day. I was on my way to work. I saw one of those bumper stickers. I'm going to draw a line real quick, and I'm not meaning to. But you know those bumper stickers that say, Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president? That's a bumper sticker. It's not just like something you post on Facebook. Like, it's a sticker. And this dude had it on the back of his car. And I was like, the consciousness that goes from, I'm just going to post this on social media, to, I'm going to use my money to buy this sticker and put it on my vehicle. And you think about, you can drive through Jonesboro, and there's a certain road that there's just flags of political sayings. It's like, that's where we're putting our stuff. And there's that damn song called The Chosen One about Trump. You guys heard it? It's called The Chosen One. What? Should we play it? What's That's right. With being the know of what?
You have to know how to. I mean, if I'm being honest, it's got to catch you.
It is catchy. I'm not going to play the whole thing. Let me just play that.
It's really good. Like, it's a catchy tune, but the lyrics.
Who wrote it?
Natasha Owens. It's on Apple Music. I mean, she's a legit person.
It sounds like you're going to play it on a Sunday morning.
It does.
Come on.
I can definitely imagine prices like rockets.
Have you seen the edits that people do? So it's just like, I'm with the chosen one, and it cuts it from you like, I'm the chosen one.
I think she explicitly says at the end, Trump. Anyways, how do you get there? You have bad interpretations of the Bible. Like, that's my hunch. You have bad takes on religion. You have bad takes on the Bible. This is how early settlers of America, colonizers, went full genocide against the Native Americans, using the conquest of Canaan in the Old Testament as justification against them. Several colonizers and Puritans believed that they had a divine mandate to occupy America, cultivate the new world, designated from God above. They saw their success as sign as God's favor. It's just kind of curious. We'll look back at the Bible and say, like, they killed all these people, and they're like, the Lord gave us victory, and we're like, man, it's so barbaric. But we also did it a couple hundred years ago and did the exact same thing. It's like, oh, we won. God must be on our side. This is how you end up with poor takes of these things. Last week, I listened to this debate between an atheist and a Christian apologist. And this is where I jam. It was a lot of fun. It was so brutal, though. It was really hard to work through because the Christian apologist was just the worst. He was the worst person, honestly. He never responded to anything from the atheist perspective. He never countered any arguments. Purely, he started out, the atheist is British. He started out with making a sly comment about him being British, about atheists being British. And everybody's like, this is a poor way to start. Like, your arguments is like you're making fun of who he is. Anyways, the debate was about if the Bible is true. That's the question mark. And I think from the outset, and I'll talk more about it in just a second. From the outset, I think we're setting that up incorrectly. Is the Bible true? Like, have you ever asked, is a library true? Is the Johnson City Library true? It's the exact same question. It's a silly question. It's the wrong category for it. It's like asking if Mozart's symphonies are correct. It's like asking if a sunset is first or second place. It doesn't categorize. That's not how you categorize this stuff. Too often, our experiences of the Bible, too often our experiences of religion are small. They're cumbersome, often regressive. We end up with songs about the chosen one. We need something bigger, a little bit more thoughtful. And what's hard is that this is actually buried in the tradition itself. We've been actually having these thoughtful, reflective conversations for a long time. They just kind of been buried in the underbelly. Because what happens is those on top are the ones that tell the story, not the ones in the underbelly. Remember what religion means. It most purely means binding. It's that which binds you to something greater than yourself, something other, something more. It produces a humility in yourself. And think about how psychologically and socially unhealthy it is to not have something like that. Just to flash forward, in the early 1900s, there's a philosopher named William James. He had this whole thing. I'm not going to diagram it right now, but he talks about this thing called the religious experience. What does it mean to have a religious experience? He identified it as a feeling of objective presence, a perception of something more deep, more general, more than what our regular senses can apprehend. I think that's something that we have to hold on to as we go forward. Too often we assume that belief in God or religious practice or understanding of the scriptures, being a person of faith even, means something big and miraculous, or having these dogmatic, structured beliefs about being somewhere else and going somewhere else after you die. Having literal, factual beliefs from an ancient text or whatever. But if you study human history, it's a notion of transcendence. It's this bending inward. I'm going to lean in to something. Some notion of more is what William James was arguing for us. I think a lot more of us have had experiences like that rather than specific dogmatic experiences. There's a leader of a certain denomination, I'm not going to give it away. I think it's this past week, very publicly said that they need to drop connection to the Nicene Creed. Not to give you a little history, but Nicene Creed is very integral to the Christian faith. And he said we should kind of unhitch our wagon to it because it's too ecumenical, which ecumenical means it's too widely accepted by Christians. So if something is ecumenical, that means multiple Christian denominations use it. And he's saying it's too ecumenical, which means too many Christians agree about it, and we should be a little bit more exclusive. That's what he's saying. A lot of people are giving him flack over it for good reason. You can't just do that to the Nicene Creed, is basically what I'm trying to say. I think about that. He said we should be a little bit more narrow, is his argument. I think truly we've all felt, sensed, intuited, seen that the world is richer and more wondrous than we typically perceive sometimes, Perceptions like holding a newborn baby or seeing the sunset or going on that nature walk, or you actually read a line from Jesus on these ancient texts and it does something to you. I think our actual reality is that we bump into God all the time. We just need a slightly larger perspective and vision of this stuff. When we widen our view just a little bit, I think we bump into God all the time. I think we bump into pure religion all the time, actually. The future of religion should be leaning more heavily on things like art and aesthetics and community and identity together, purpose together, having a posture rather than a position. Faith always struggles when it hinges itself exclusively on verbal or rational realities. So for the future of faith, I think we have to kind of dig our heels in to doing something that's actually been a part of the tradition the whole time, which is let our perspective be a little bit wider. Let our perspective be a little bit bigger. If you have a Bible, I know I'm ending right here. If you have a Bible, go to Acts 17. It's one of the most thoughtful perspectives on this, and I just want to give it to you, and then I'm done. Go to Acts 17, look at verse 16. I'm going to start reading in just a second. Now, while Paul was waiting for them at Athens, his spirit was provoked within him as he saw that the city was full of idols. He reasoned in the synagogue with the Jews and the devout persons and in the marketplace every day with those who happened to be there. Some of the Epicurean and Stoic philosophers also conversed with him. Some said, "What does this babbler wish to say?" Others said, "He seems to be a preacher of foreign divinities because he is preaching Jesus and the resurrection." They took him and brought him to the Areopagus, saying, "May we know what this new teaching is that you're presenting? For you bring some strange things to our ears. We wish to know, therefore, what these things mean." All the Athenians and the foreigners who lived there would spend their time in nothing except telling or hearing something new. So Paul, standing in the midst of the Areopagus, said, "Men of Athens, I perceive that in every way you are very religious." They're asking big questions. Who are we? What are we doing here? Religious. They're trying to find binding. As I passed along, observed the objects of your worship, also found an altar with this inscription: "To the unknown God. What therefore you worship as unknown, I proclaim to you, the God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man. Think about the massive movement right there. Earlier consciousness for the Jews, where's God? Temple. So Paul is subtly making a massive leap forward. God's actually not in the temple. He's not served by human hands as though he needed anything. Then, isn't there a whole culture and tradition of multiple religions sacrificing stuff to God because they need it? Since he himself gives to all mankind life and breath and everything. He made from one man every nation of mankind to live on the face of the earth, having determined allotted periods and the boundaries of their dwelling place, that they should seek God and perhaps feel their way toward him and find him. Yeah, he's actually not far from each one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being. Even some of your own poets have said, for we are indeed his offspring. We've talked about this 1,000 times. I feel like this is a mosaic text for us. There's lots of cool things happening in this, but just think about what he does at the end. He quotes one of their own poets, the poet from Crete. He says, even some of your own poets aren't religious and they're not giving themselves to this stuff, are recognizing there's something greater happening here. And that's what we're leaning into. That designation of more that William James is talking about in 1902 with the Gifford lectures in Scotland, that notion that there's something more going on, that's what we talk about. That's the thing that's inside every single human. That's why we write movies and we write stories and we go on dates and we have these fun things. It's like there's a thing of more inside of me. You hold your baby for the first time. There's something happening. Someone you love passes away and there's something happening. We're not just a bunch of chemicals in my brain. At least that's my hunch. I'm going to end with this. Back to that debate I listened to. It's well worth your time. It was really hard to get through because it's 2 hours of the atheist doing really, really good and the Christian apologist just not doing good. So you kind of have to be okay with that. But the atheist's opening point about the Bible, is the Bible true? This was his point. This is the atheist perspective's point, okay? He says the Bible speaks on multiple levels and should be read accordingly. One of them is a historical literal level, one of which is a metaphorical archetypal level. So asking if the Bible is true is probably the wrong question, because what do you mean by true? Are we talking about morals? Talking about metaphor? Talking about myth? That was his opening argument. The Christian apologist came screeching in, demanding for a one-size-fits-all interpretation of every text. And the atheist just wiped the floor with him. It's insane. It's astounding. The atheist had this one-liner that was awesome. He said, "You can't keep moving the goalposts, especially if you continue on missing." Killed it. And I could go through it. I could just talk about this debate for a long time. The atheist was given a perspective of the Bible has some contradictions in it. So if you're trying to approach it as a historical literal text, you have to do something with that. If you're okay with it speaking on a larger plane, you don't have to do something with that. And the other side was like, no, you're going to bring up something so trivial and so small to negate Christianity. And I think that's silly. And the atheist was like, that's not what I'm saying. 20 minutes later, the Christian apologist was like, look at all these facts that the Bible happens to get right. That has to bolster Christianity. And the atheist was like, hang on a second. Like, you just said I can't bring up something trivial to negate it. And now you're bringing up something trivial to bolster it. Anyways, they're going back and forth. And the atheist was like, you can't keep moving the goalposts if you continue to miss. Like, that makes it even more problematic. So is that what we're doing as Christians? I think so. We're going to unhitch from the Nicene Creed. Let's make it more narrow. Let's go more exclusive. I think what we're doing is we're moving the goalposts and we keep missing. We move the goalpost and we continue to miss. We need more people to agree with us. We need more people in our church. We need more people to vote for our candidate. And that's our starting point. And we keep missing. We keep moving the goalpost somewhere else. So what if we had a slightly bigger view? What if we just dared to do what Paul did and he just took a 2% shift? Well, if I would argue, you're probably not taking much of a shift. You're probably just getting back to what's more original. What is true religion? It's binding to something that's more. What if we let go of some of our control issues on some of this, our idolatry of language? What if we had a bigger view, a bigger vision? Now, I'm saying you let go of the Bible, because what do? We talk about the Bible. I'm just as committed to this I'm not saying you let go of it. I'm not even saying you let go of literal interpretations of this. All I'm asking is that you may include that and more. So can we get there? I think it's possible. There's my riff. Did we get anywhere? I don't know, but that's my riff for today. This is what I somehow find myself talking about just in the day-to-day of my life. So this is what makes me smile sometimes. So this is the task of Mosaic, I think, is can we posit a way forward, more thoughtful following of Jesus? And I think this is a way forward for us. So there you go. That's all I got. Let me pray, and now I'm done. God, we stop for a second to breathe you in and ponder. Even as the text just said, God, I pray that we'd have the ability to reason with others, to dialogue and have conversation, to be wrong, to entertain thoughts without apprehending them. Pray we'd be able to see the desires for more inside of us and lean in. And at the basis of our hearts, all the things that we're crying out for, God, I pray that we can see that are honestly fulfilled in a conception of you. And God, I want to believe it. I'm trying to believe it. So for myself and my friends here, I pray that you help us give ourselves to a way of being human in the world, that we keep asking these kinds of questions, keep gathering around a way of being human and finding a posture that matters and actually changes the world. God, I want to believe that and give myself to it. And I pray that for myself and my friends here at this table. In the light of other things happening in our culture, that makes it incredibly hard to hold on. I pray that we can find some notion here that helps bind us closer. God, we're here. We're yours. We ask for help. We pray this in your name. Amen. Hi, everybody. There's that 2 weeks, end of June. Yeah, on the 30th of June, we'll have breakfast, either here or out and about. Yeah, that's right. Thursday dinner, probably. Anything else we need to say? I feel like there's something else I was missing. Taylor? Okay.
Still, if you want to sign up for the mail for Charlie and Jeremy, you can on the.
Cool. All right. Anything else anyone want to say? Okay. Maybe in a week or so we'll have another human added to the Mosaic family.
Yeah, I probably will.
That's right. Cade will obviously be here, but
Yeah.
that's right.
I'll leave here without kids.
That's right. We'll do a baby dedication for too long. Sprinkle some water on them. We'll do both. We'll sprinkle and we'll baptize.
Yeah.
Just to make sure we cover the bases. All right, everybody. That's it. Cheers.